I thought I was seeing things until the shadow behind my reflection started moving. Even though I hadn't, it was just after 11 p.m. on a Thursday night. My parents were out of town visiting my aunt, and I'd opted to stay home alone. The living room was dark except for the faint bluish glow from the paused movie on the TV screen. I turned my head to look directly at the living room behind me. Empty, of course. Just the couch, coffee table, and the flickering TV. As I walked past a large decorative mirror mounted on the wall across from the TV, something made me pause. I was 16, old enough, I thought, to handle a couple of quiet nights by myself. The first day had been uneventful. A shape darker than the room around it, tall, narrow, and still. I did homework, ordered takeout, and spent most of the evening on the couch watching old horror movies with the lights off. The way I liked it, a trick of the light, my own shape distorted somehow. Maybe a piece of furniture casting a weird reflection. That night I went to the kitchen to grab a soda. At first I couldn't tell what it was, maybe a flicker or a shape, but when I looked back into the mirror, I saw a figure. It was subtle, shadow-like, but definitely there, standing just behind my reflection, off to the left. I froze. No ticking from the wall clock, no faint creaks from the old wood floors, just a complete, almost suffocating silence. I didn't breathe. I didn't blink. My brain scrambled to rationalize it, but nothing behind me matched what I saw in the mirror. I turned around again. Slowly the room was empty. "Get a grip," I muttered, grabbing my soda and heading upstairs. I avoided looking at the mirror again. Just a trick of the eyes, I told myself. Shadows playing games, like fingernails against glass. And quiet. Too quiet. No humming from the fridge. My phone was on the nightstand, but the battery had died. Of course I waited, hoping I'd imagined it. I swallowed hard, forcing a laugh out of my throat. But something was off that night. I could feel it, like the air in the house was heavier somehow. The upstairs hallway, usually warm, felt several degrees colder. My skin prickled. The tapping had stopped, but the silence was worse. Still, I climbed into bed and tried to distract myself with YouTube videos. Eventually, I must have drifted off. I woke up at exactly 3:08 a.m., the cold cup of soda I'd left on the table. No noise had woken me. No dream. I just opened my eyes. The house was dead silent again. I sat up and listened. Nothing. Then I heard something tap, 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 soft, distant. I took a shaky step forward, eyes locked on the mirror. I raised one hand slowly, standing directly behind my reflection's shoulder. Unmoving. No features, just a black man-shaped silhouette that shouldn't have been there. It was coming from downstairs. I sat there in bed, heart pounding. Then it came again. Tap, tap, this time, slower, almost deliberate. Against every instinct I had, I got out of bed. Maybe it was a branch against a window. Maybe something had fallen. Maybe it was nothing. The stairs creaked beneath me as I descended barefoot, the cold wood sending sharp chills up my legs. I reached the bottom step and turned toward the living room. Everything looked normal, the couch, the TV. And then I saw the mirror. I just sat there, pressed against the wall, jumping at every creak and groan the house made. I went back downstairs nervously, cautiously, and looked into the mirror. My reflection was there, just as it should be, but I wasn't alone in it. The shadowy figure had returned, only now it was closer. "Just a bad dream," she said. "Maybe you were sleepwalking." I turned around in a panic knot. My chest felt tight. My reflection copied me. The figure did not. It just stood there, slightly hunched, as though waiting. My voice cracked. "Hello, nothing." I stepped to the side. My reflection followed. The figure didn't. It stayed rooted in the same spot, facing forward, slightly angled, like it was watching my reflection more than me. I don't know why I did it. Maybe some stupid teenage instinct to prove I wasn't afraid, but I stepped closer to the mirror. The shadow moved, not its whole body, just the head. It tilted slightly, as if it had noticed me noticing it. I ran. I bolted back upstairs and locked my bedroom door behind me. I didn't sleep. In the morning, sunlight poured through the blinds, warm and safe. No shadow, just me, pale and tired and alone. I told my parents when they got back, and my mom laughed it off. But I hadn't been asleep when I saw it. I was awake. A week passed. I avoided the mirror, covered it with an old bedsheet eventually. I didn't care how it looked, but sometimes, even now, I'll hear it. Late at night, a soft, faint tap-tap, tap like fingers brushing against glass. And every so often, if I glance at the mirror just a second too long, I swear I see something move. I thought the static was just a glitch until a pair of eyes stared out at me from the screen. It was a quiet weekend at my off-campus apartment. My two roommates had gone home for a family event, and for once, I had the place to myself. No sound, just pure, white static. I figured the remote had gotten pressed under a cushion or something. I turned it off, didn't think much of it. I was brushing my teeth when I heard the familiar hiss of static from the living room. I walked out, half annoyed, half curious. I was looking forward to the silence, no loud music. No arguments over dishes, just peace. I stocked the fridge, locked the door, and settled in for a weekend of bad takeout and worse horror movies. Every time I started drifting off, I imagined the soft crackle of the TV turning itself back on. Eventually, I left the door to my bedroom open just in case. The first weird thing happened Friday night. Around 1 a.m., just as I was dozing off on the couch, the TV snapped back on by itself. Still just static. I stood there for a second, watching it, and I'll admit, something about it felt off. Not just weird wrong, like the static wasn't random. Like it was forming shapes, flickers of shadows and motion just beneath the noise. The next night, it happened again. This time I'd made sure to put the remote on the coffee table. The screen was glowing faintly in the dark, casting light across the floor and walls. The apartment was cold, naturally cold, like the air had been sucked out of it. I could hear the low crackle before I even turned the corner. Told myself it was probably just a power surge or interference. But by Sunday night, I was on edge. I didn't even turn the TV on all day. I turned it off again. The static shifted and cleared slightly. Just for a moment, enough to make my stomach drop. That night, I had trouble sleeping. The next day was uneventful. I tried not to let it bother me. It didn't matter. The room behind it was clearly my living room, same layout, same furniture, even the same coffee mug I'd left on the table. Around 2:30 a.m. I woke up in the dark to a soft glow coming from the living room. I didn't want to get up. The couch was empty, the mug was there, the remote untouched. I just laid there staring at the ceiling, hoping it would turn off by itself. But it didn't. I didn't tell him everything, just said the apartment creeped me out when I was alone. He laughed it off. The light kept flickering. Eventually, I forced myself out of bed and walked quietly down the hall. The TV was on, static again. But something was different. There was movement in the screen. That one of my roommates had come back early, that it was all a joke, but I know I locked the door. And they both sent me videos from hours away that same morning. I stood frozen just outside the living room, peeking in. There was a figure on the screen, sitting on my couch, in the exact spot where I'd been the night before. The outline was blurry, but it was there, dark, hunched still. But no one was there. The couch was empty. I flicked the lights on in a panic. The screen instantly cut to black silence. The living room was exactly as I'd left it. I didn't sleep that night. Monday morning, I packed a bag and stayed at a friend's dorm. When I came back the next afternoon, everything seemed normal again, until I found the note. It was sitting on the coffee table, right where the mug had been. No handwriting, just printed text, like it came from an old typewriter. Thank you for watching. Now it's my turn. I stared at it for a long time, trying to convince myself it was a prank. I haven't used the TV since. It still sits there in the living room unplugged. But sometimes, in the middle of the night, I swear I can still hear it. A faint hiss, like it's waiting. The scratching used to stop when I turned on the lights until one night. It didn't. This happened when I was 12, and I still don't sleep without checking under the bed. My parents used to go on weekend trips a couple of times a year, just the two of them, leaving me home alone on Friday and Saturday nights. It was a small town, quiet neighborhood, and we had good neighbors. I was mature for my age, and they trusted me. The first time I heard the scratching, I was already in bed. It was past midnight, and I'd been reading under the covers with a flashlight. I thought it might have been my imagination at first, just a soft, slow scrape against the floorboards, a sort of dragging sound, like nails or something rough being pulled along wood. I froze. The noise was coming from directly under my bed. I held my breath and listened. It came again. Scratch, scrop, scratch. I told myself it was probably the old floorboards settling or maybe a mouse. But the sound had rhythm, intent, too slow and steady to be random. I leaned over the edge and pulled the blanket tight under my chin, trying to peer into the darkness beneath me. Nothing, just pitch black and dust. I turned on the bedside lamp. Silence. The noise stopped immediately. Still, I couldn't bring myself to look again. That first night I barely slept. The next morning, I checked underneath. There was nothing there. Just a few old comic books and a missing sock. That should have been the end of it. But the next night, just past midnight, it started again. Scratch, scrape, scratch. Same rhythm, same place right beneath me. I just lay there with the blanket pulled over my head, heart pounding so loud I could barely hear the sound anymore. I didn't move. Then I did something dumb. I whispered, "Hello." I sat in the corner of the room with the lights on until morning. But this time I heard something else. A soft, wheezing breath. Not loud but close. I started thinking maybe it was just in my head. I was afraid they'd think I was making it up to get out of being home alone. So I kept quiet. The scratching stopped. Dead silence. After a long, horrible pause, it started again, but faster this time. Scratch, 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 scratch. I bolted up and turned on every light in the room. The sound stopped again instantly, like something exhaling just beneath my mattress. I didn't sleep that night. When my parents got home the next day, I didn't say anything. A few months passed, nothing happened. Then, in the spring, my parents took another weekend trip. I held my breath and dropped to the floor to look under the bed. The first night, everything was quiet. But on Saturday night, the scratching came back. Only this time it started before midnight. I was lying in bed, fully awake, staring at the ceiling when it began. Slower now, deliberate scrape, 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 scrape. My mouth went dry. My body locked up. I didn't look. I couldn't. But the worst part, absolute worst part was that this time, it didn't stop when I turned on the lamp. It just kept going. Scratch. I forced myself to swing my legs over the edge, trying to be brave. There was nothing. No scratching. Just empty space. I crawled back into bed, this time leaving the lamp on. I backed into the hallway and slammed the door shut behind me. A few minutes passed, and then I heard it. Not scratching this time. A voice, a whisper. It came from right beneath me. It said my name. I jumped out of bed so fast I nearly tripped. I'm afraid this time it won't be whispering. I slept downstairs on the couch with all the lights on and the TV at full volume. I never slept in that room again while my parents were away. Eventually I told my dad. He checked for animals, inspected the vents, the floorboards. I never heard the scratching again. But I swear to you, sometimes, late at night, even years later, I'll be half asleep and hear it again, just for a second. That slow, careful scratch. Or worse, that whisper low, breathless, saying my name from somewhere too close. And when I do, I never check under the bed. Because if it's there again,